Daf Yomi Tractate Bava Batra, page 89. A, top of the page, with the words Me v'haya im shamoa ad le'avdam. V'kilalam be'esrim v'shtayim me v'haya im shamoa v'haya im lo tishma ad kone. This is also a really interesting connection because we just read yesterday Parshas Kisavo, which talks about this very thing. So we're right on schedule, it looks like. From the letter Vav that begins the verse, and it shall come to pass, v'haya, if you shall hearken diligently, Deuteronomy 28:1, until to serve them of Dam, Deuteronomy 28:14, which ends in the letter Mem. And he cursed them with 22 letters from the letter Vav that begins the curse, but it shall come to pass, v'haya, if you will not hearken to the voice of the Lord in Deuteronomy 28:15, until, and no man shall buy, in Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. This verse ends with the letter Hey, which comes just before Vav in the alphabet. Starting with Vav and ending with Hey encompasses the 22 letters of the alphabet. Makom shenagu lemod begasa. Excuse me. The simon is ein me'ainin ve'ein godshin be'ard min uvelitra shlosha ve'asar nefesh mishkalot mimechak ava lo ta'asu lo ya'aseh. The Mishnah teaches in a place where they were accustomed to measure with one large measuring vessel, one may not measure with several small measuring vessels. In a place where the custom is to level the top of the measuring vessel to remove substances heaped above its edges, one may not heap it. And where they are accustomed to heap it, one may not level it. The Gemara provides a mnemonic for the ensuing halachot. One may not balance with precision, and one may not heap it. The market inspectors is be'ard damin, and with the elitra, 3 and 10. Fulcrum, weights, a thick leveler, you may not do, one may not do. Well, that's the next halachos that will show up, discussed by the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanan, the sages taught, minayin she'en mochakin b'makom shegodshin ve'en godshin b'makom shemochakin Talmud lomar eifa shlema. The sages taught, from where is it derived, that one may not level a measuring vessel in a place where they are accustomed to heap it, and that one may not heap it in a place where they are accustomed to level it. The verse states a perfect weight, Deuteronomy 25:15, which indicates that one must use whatever is considered a perfect measuring vessel in that locale, as this ensures that there is no deception or trickery. Uminayin she'im amar harayni mochesh b'mkom shegodishin v'lifachos lo min hadamim v'harayni godish b'makom shemochakin ulehosif lo al hadamim she'in shomin lo talmud lomar eifa shlema v'tzedek yelach. And from where is it derived that the seller said in a place where they heap, I am hereby leveling and am willing to exchange to reduce the price for you? Or said in a place where they level, I am hereby heaping and am willing to increase the price for you? That the court does not listen to him. The verse states, a perfect and just weight you shall have. Deuteronomy 25:15. The addition of the term just, beyond the requirement of the weight be perfect, teaches that one must keep his weights in a just manner, meaning, in other words, that employed by the people of that locale. Tanu Rabbanan, the sages taught in a braise, B'nayin she'en ma'aynin b'makom shemachri'in, ve'en machri'in b'makom shema'aynin, Talmud Lomar Even Shleimo. The sages taught, from where is it derived that one may not balance a scale so that it will balance with precision in a place where they are accustomed to let the scales tilt a handbreadth for the benefit of the buyer, and that one may not let the scales tilt a handbreadth in a place where they are accustomed to balance with precision? The verse states a perfect weight. Deuteronomy 25:15, which teaches that the weight must be considered perfect in that locale. ומניין שאם אמר הריני מאין במקום שמכריעין ולפחד לוי מן הדומים והריני מכריע במקום שמעינין ולהוסיף על הדומים שאין שומעים לוי תלמוד לא יאמר אבן שלמה בצדק. And from where is it derived that if a seller said, in a place where it is the custom to let the scales tilt a handbreadth, I am hereby balancing with precision and am willing to reduce the price for the buyer, or in a place where it is the custom to balance with precision, I am hereby letting the scales tilt a handbreadth and am willing to increase the price for the buyer, that the court does not listen to him. The verse states a perfect and just way, Deuteronomy 25:15, which teaches that just way of acting is to weigh in accordance with the practice in that locale. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Misura, Rabbi Yehuda Surah says, Lo yeh lecha beveitecha mata mishum eifa ve'eifa. Rabbi Yehuda of Surah says, a homiletic interpretation of the phrase, you shall not have in your house diverse measures, Deuteronomy 25:14. You shall not have in your house means that you will become a pauper who has nothing in his house. What is the reason for this? It is due to the fact that you use diverse measures, buying with a large vessel and selling with a small one. Lo yelecha b'chisicha. The phrase, you shall not have in your purse diverse weights, Deuteronomy 25:13, Matam. Mishum even ve'evin, aval even shlema v'tzedek, Yelach, even shlema v'tzedek, Yelach. The phrase, you shall not have in your purse diverse weights, Deuteronomy 25:13, is interpreted in a similar fashion. You shall not have in your purse, meaning you will become a pauper who has nothing in his purse. What is the reason for this? It is due to the fact that you use diverse weights, but if you possess only a perfect and just weight, then you shall have well health. Likewise, if you possess only a perfect and just measure, then you shall have well health. Tanu Habanan, the sages that taught in the phrase in the Braiso, Lo yeh lecho melamed shemamidin agar damin lemidot ve'mamidin al gamin leshe'arim. Devei nesia okimu agar damin ben lemidot ben leshe'arim. Amar le'shmuel lekarno bok deni lehu mamidin agar damin lemidot ve'mamidin agar damin leshe'arim. The sages taught that phrase, you shall not have, teaches that the court appoints market inspectors to supervise the accuracy of measures. The Gemara infers, but the court does not appoint market inspectors for supervising market prices. The Gemara relates, the house of the Nasi appointed market inspectors for supervising both measures and prices. Shmuel said to his student, the sage Karna, go out and teach them that one appoints market inspectors for supervising measures, but one does not appoint market inspectors for prices. Nafak drash lehu, mamidin agar damin ben lemidot ben lesharim, amar le mashimach karna, tipuk le karna beina, nafak le karna beina, ihu keman zavar, ki had amar Rabbi Barchama amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Karna went out and taught them that one appoints market inspectors for supervising both measures and prices. Shmuel, hearing what he had done, said to him, "What is your name?" He replied, "Karna." Shmuel said, "Let a horn, a karna, emerge in his eye." A horn, meaning a large growth of flesh, emerged in his eye. The Gemara asks, and Karna, in accordance with whose opinion did he hold? Which led him to disregard his teacher's statement. He held in accordance with that which Rabbi Bar Chama says, that Rabbi Yitzchak says, one appoints market inspectors for supervising. This reminds me of a different Gemara, just a side point. It's coming back to me now. It's in Shabbat. Tractate Shabbat, I believe it's around 108, that area, where the same thing happens, and Rav asked Karna, "What's your name?" And he also did the same thing. I think that's what it is. And it said Karna, I guess he was trying to test Rav, I think. So I don't know. They both happened. It's kind of, I don't know. You know what I mean? Seems like maybe they both happened. Anyway, I think it's in Shabbat 108, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Maybe we can go there afterwards, but anyway. Shmuel said, okay, he hold. Okay, and Karna, in accordance with whose opinion did he hold, which led him to disregard his teacher's statement. He held in accordance with that, of which Rabbi Chama says, that Rabbi Yitzchak says, one appoints market inspectors for supervising both measures and prices due to swindlers, to prevent people from using smaller measures or from such selling at a steep price while falsely claiming that they are selling superior quality merchandise. Tanu Rabbanan, we have gelernt Rabbi, so heißt mevakish mena litra shokel lo litra chatzi litra shokel lo chatzi litra revia litra shokel lo revi litra mai kamash melan de metakninan mitkale adhachi. The Gemara discusses several halachot related to the cases of Mishnah. The sages taught if the buyer requested from the seller a litra of specific form, he weighs for him using a litra weight. If he asks for half a litra, he weighs for him using half a litra weight. If he wants 1/4 of a litra, he weighs for him using a 1/4 litra weight. The Gemara asks, isn't this obvious? What is this Braita teaching us? The Gemara explains it teaches that 1. Sets weights until this amount, 1/4 of a litra, but not less. If a buyer asks the seller to weigh a smaller amount for him, his request is not granted. Tanu Habanan, אם מבקשים ממנו 3 ליטרה, לא יאמר לו שכל לי 3 ליטרה אחת, אלא שוקל ליטרה, ומניח רביע ליטרה עם הבשר. Furthermore, the sages taught if a buyer requested from him 3/4 of litra, and there is no weight equal to this amount, the buyer may not say to him, weigh for me 3 units, using a 1/4 litra weight, one by one, so that the seller lets the scales tilt by a handbreadth as he measures each 1/4 litra weight. Rather, he weighs the merchandise all at once, as he places a litra weight on one pan of the scale and places on the other pan of the scale a 1/4 litra weight together with the meat that is being sold. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a brisa, the sages taught likewise. Ahaya mevakesh meno 10 litrin v'lo yamar lo shekol li achat v'chliyo ela shokel lo kulan bevas achas v'no isin nechra echad hulan. The sages likewise taught in a case where the buyer requested from the seller 10 litra of merchandise, the buyer may not say to him, weigh for me each litra one by one, and let the scales tilt each time. Excuse me. Yowza. That's what I meant to say. Excuse me. Yowza. Weigh for me each litra one by one, and let the scales tilt each time, as on every occasion the seller does. This the buyer receives more than one which he paid. Rather, he weighs all the merchandise at the same time, and he lets the scales tilt once for all the merchandise. Tanu Rabbanan, Nechom gelernt in der Breise, Tanu Rabbanan nefesh me'osnaim, Teluya ba'avir, shloshet tefachim, ugavoy min ha'oretz, shloshet tefachim, yukonam u'mishne, shnayim asar tefachim. V'shel tzimorim shel zanogin, v'shel zagogin. Teluya ba'avir shnei tefachim, ugavoy min ha'oretz shnei tefachim, v'yukona mishna shelo tisha tefachim. The sages taught the fulcrum of a sail must be suspended in the air, so that the point of the lever goes through it at a distance of 3 handbreadths from the ceiling, and the pans of the scale must be 3 handbreadths above the ground, and the scale's lever and cord, from which each pan is suspended, must be 12 handbreadths long, and the fulcrum of a scale of wool weavers and glass makers must be suspended in the air at a distance of 2 handbreadths from the ceiling, and the pan of the scale must be 2 handbreadths above the ground, and its lever and cord must be 9 handbreadths long. V'shel chavani v'shel bal habayis telui ba'avir tefach ugavoha min ha'aretz tefach v'kon ha'masnet shelo 6 tefachim v'shel turtani telui ba'avir shelo etzba'ot וגבוהה מן הארץ שלו אצבעות וקנה ומשנה שלו אני איני יודע ואלא הך קיימתא דמאי. Okay, what that was basically saying is that the fulcrum of a scale of a storekeeper and of a homeowner must be suspended in the air at a distance of 1 handbreadth from the ceiling, and the pans of the scale must be 1 handbreadth above the ground, and its lever and its cord must be 6 handbreadths long, and the fulcrums of small scales, the turtane, used for weighing gold and silver must be suspended in the air at a distance of 3 finger breadths from the ceiling, and the pans of the scales must be 3 finger breadths above the ground. The Tana continues, but with regard to its lever and cord, I do not know the required length. Eini yodea. It's not so common, eini yodea, is it? You know, they're teaching something. It's not so often they say eini yodea, I don't know. Okay. Alright, since the function of each type of balance scale is measured with the exception of the first type, the Gemara asks, and that large balance scale, which is mentioned first, for what is it used?